Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and everyone in the MAGA movement does not give a shit about political violence. Never let them make you believe that they do, because they don't. All they want is to exploit political violence. All they want to do is exploit gun violence and say that it is a problem of the left. It's radical liberals who are carrying out these attacks. That is blatantly false. And it was proved once again as Donald Trump made an insane post in the wake of a shooting at an ICE facility that has left 2 dead. Donald Trump wants to exploit today, but he's not able to, and his post just backfired. We are getting into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into what Donald Trump said in his insane post in the wake of this shooting, I want to start with J.D. Vance and Kash Patel's response, trying to lay the groundwork to push their gross narrative, and it starts with these 2 Vance clips.
The last couple of months, the last couple of years, it is not a both sides problem. It is primarily on one side of the political aisle. So, if we are going to truly go after the political violence in this country, we need the Democratic leadership of Washington, D.C. to look in the mirror. We need them to renounce all political violence. When a poor kid like Charlie Kirk is gunned down in cold blood, we need them to start with condemning the violence instead of condemning something that Charlie Kirk said that they disagreed with. When you have an entire network of left-wing organizations that encourage, that promote, and that apologize for violence, you know what you're going to get out of it? You're going to get political violence. So here's my sacred obligation to you, to all the law enforcement, but every person, whether they wear a uniform or not. Over the next couple of years, the Trump administration is going to do everything that we can to dismantle the networks, to destroy the funding, and to make it harder for people to kill one another just because they disagree with what somebody says. That is what we're going to do. We're going to fight for it.
First and foremost, I have to say, J.D. Vance was the first person to compare Donald Trump to Hitler. He said that he would be America's Hitler. And you know what, J.D.? Back then, you were bang on. You were absolutely right. And this idea that these people want to go out minutes after a shooting, assert their beliefs, assert their ideologies, not only without evidence, but J.D. gave you a little preview there, and he said evidence is to come. We have the evidence. We're not going to show you yet. But believe me, because of course you can trust Donald Trump's government that covers up the Epstein files, that hides the video of Tom Homan accepting a cash bribe. You can totally trust that FBI. You can absolutely bank on our word, which is why I'm pretty disturbed with what Kash Patel posted before we get into what Donald Trump did. Kash Patel suggests ideological motive behind Dallas shooting, shares anti-ICE message on rounds. FBI Director Kash Patel shared a photo of rounds found near a shooter who targeted a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, suggesting that there was an ideological motive for the attack. Patel took to X on Wednesday afternoon to address multiple people being shot at a Dallas ICE facility that morning. 2 people ultimately died, including the gunman who turned their weapon on themselves. No officers were injured in the shooting, and reports have suggested that detainees were shot and they may have been hit while inside a van. This morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing 1, wounding several others before taking his own life, Patel wrote. The FBI director then shared a photo of rounds found near the shooter with anti-ICE engraved on them. The FBI revealed the early evidence during a press conference, but stressed that the investigation is ongoing. While the investigation is ongoing, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind the attack. See photo below. One of the unspent shell casings recovered was engraved with the phrase anti-ICE. More updates will be forthcoming. Wait a second, Kash. The investigation is ongoing, yet you felt the need to interrupt it and share evidence? And remember, last time we were talking about engravings on bullets, it was the right suggesting words representing the company that made the munitions that were used in the Charlie Kirk shooting had some trans insignia. Even that was complete bullshit. And now we have this photo with like a magic marker on it. Guys, I'm so serious. I hate to raise the conspiracy of like, did Kash Patel plant this evidence? I really hate to do that. But why would you show it to us? Besides trying to affirm the view that you want pushed right now, the narrative you are trying to drive still in this moment. Why would you share the evidence but for that reason? The investigation's ongoing. How can we trust the FBI? We can't. And the idea that it's the radical liberals who are going after ICE, only a detainee lost their lives. And Donald Trump, the post he made in light of this shooting, only makes that worse. Trump wrote, the Democrats want illegal aliens, many of them violent criminals, to receive free health care. The Democrats want $50 million to help radical left news outlets. The Democrats want to leave dead people on Medicaid and Social Security rolls so that criminals can continue to be receiving the payment, steal their money. The Democrats want to cut billions of dollars from vulnerable rural hospitals, and it continued like that, with Trump also mentioning open borders and crime and so many other things that will destroy America, saying we can't let this happen. So there is a shooting this morning at an ICE detention facility that leaves a detainee, likely, of course, an immigrant, injured, many injured, and one dead. Donald Trump's response is, we have to get rid of these criminal, animal, disgusting illegals. Of course, those are his words. That's how he responds. If it was law enforcement, Donald Trump would be saying that this is the radical left, well, which he did already, by the way. He did say this is the radical left. But we see an immigrant this morning lose their lives, and Donald Trump's response is, we have to stop these immigrants at all cost, no matter what it is, because they're infesting the country. They're breaking in. They're criminals. They're coming for you. That's his response. And you're fucking telling me to lower my rhetoric, repeating J.D. Vance's own fucking words. Him saying that Donald Trump is America's Hitler, and now I'm in handcuffs for repeating J.D. Vance, the vice president's own words? Are you serious? This is such bullshit. It is bullshit. That all the right wants to do is talk about political violence when we haven't even thought about January 6th, and months it's been since Donald Trump let violent criminals out, repeat offenders who left to go commit more crimes, mind you. And we also don't talk about the political violence that is ICE. ICE is carrying out political violence every day. Just because they have a badge with no number on it, by the way, and sometimes they don't identify themselves. But just because they're employed by the federal government doesn't mean they're not agents of political violence. That is political violence. That is what they are inflicting upon us, inflicting upon communities, your community, all across the country. It doesn't matter. And you're telling me it's my fault? Donald Trump is saying it's your fault? Really? His response to a shooting is, we have to get the criminal illegals out after an immigrant lost their life this morning. And a shooting where we don't know the motive except for what Kash Patel has suggested in a Twitter post, by the way, not an official statement from the Bureau, a tweet that Kash Patel put out. Remember what happened last time Kash Patel put out a tweet while an investigation was still ongoing? She had to retract it. And you're telling me to trust this one? I know I'm seeming a little upset right now, but are you kidding me? Are you fucking serious with this one? This is insane. They're telling us to tone down the rhetoric, and this is what Donald Trump is posting. This is what Kash Patel is doing. J.D. Vance is screaming, oh, they're saying mean things about us. Fuck you, J.D. Vance. I've had enough of these people. I've had enough. I really have. And especially in the wake of what has been happening in the border enforcement and deportation department of this administration with Tom Homan, the criminal that he is, the Jasmine Crockett, who is going to be a little calmer, deliver her words a little better than I can in this moment when I'm furious, said right here.
But that's the same thing with this entrapment thing that they're now saying. But when it comes down to conspiracy, the conspiracy is complete at the agreement. And so whether or not, you could actually carry it out doesn't matter. What matters is that you make the agreement. And now, just like we saw in Nixon, when Nixon decided, you know what, it's getting a little too hot in here, in a bipartisan way, they're about to boot me, I'm going to just go ahead and bow out. Part of the biggest issue with Nixon was the cover-up of it. That became the bigger issue. And now that's what we see with this administration. Not only are they going out and they are doing illegal things, they are then engaging in a cover-up over these things instead of just being transparent.
And the interesting thing about that is when you look at how this all started in Western Texas, right? When apparently an informant started saying, hey, this guy, Homan, is going around and he's soliciting bribes or wants something in order to help people once he gets inside, Trump has a second term. That then triggers the FBI investigation because the word on the street is Homan is in business, basically. right?
I'm so happy you are breaking this down. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so once Mr. Holman is identified as being in business on the street, so in other words, this ain't coming from inside the Biden administration, right? This isn't coming from inside some Democratic caucus room.
Correct.
This is coming from the streets of Texas about what's going on.
Not the Democratic streets.
And not the Democratic streets. That then triggers the FBI to go,
Correct.
what's going on?
Correct.
And they set up a sting.
So you're breaking down why, for sure, it's not entrapment.
That's
okay?
right.
Because what entrapment is me coercing you to do something that you had no idea you weren't trying to do or nothing. Okay? But when we're talking about getting the type of authority that you're going to need to be able to give out $50,000 in cash, that is not going to be on just I'm trying to trap somebody.
Right.
That has to literally clear the traps. Okay? And typically, it's a matter of this happens a lot of times with dope boys. Like it happens all the time. This is how they work their cases. It's typically they bring somebody in who's lower level, who's trying not to go to prison, who says, I will help you to get to the people that are really at the top. And so they get this information from those people and then they set up their investigations. They follow up. They try to figure out if there's any veracity. They obviously were able to get a lot of corroboration to the extent that someone signed off on an agent being able to sign out $50,000 in cash.
And that's a critical.
I am so glad I can lean on Jasmine Crockett and when I'm furious right now, because I'm furious. And I know I've been saying this a lot lately, but I care about y'all's input, and it really matters to me that I'm doing this show. And of course, the most honest way possible, but in a way that like serves your news consumption, because like I want to make sure I'm giving y'all information and yours not just like tuning in for me to get upset. If you need me to tone it down sometimes, please let me know. Don't unsubscribe too fast. But I think that in this moment, we just need to be a little pissed off. I'm going to be on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. You suck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And while you're in the comments, you can subscribe to my Substack. It's going to be linked below or right here. Being a free or paid subscriber, one of the best ways to support the show. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.